I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
A good science fiction story should be able to predict not the automobile, but the traffic jam. That's a quote from Frederick Pohl, an American godfather of science fiction literature. It's an interesting statement and certainly an idea worth exploring. Well, I recently went to see Denis Villeneuve's latest film, Arrival, and it got me thinking about the science fiction genre as a whole. There's something special about this particular genre, and since it's one of my personal favourites, I wanted to spend some time exploring it. Firstly, to ask, what exactly is science fiction, and secondly, what kind of role does it play for us in modern society? And is it something that we should consider valuable? If you search the term popular science fiction films, you get a list of movies that looks something like this. With a quick glance, an interesting detail stands out almost immediately. The majority of these films are centered on ideas about the nature of humanity. It's certainly a pervasive theme of the genre, that question. What does it mean to be human? Who are we and what is our place in the universe? In this way, true science fiction is often a lot like an intense philosophical discussion. It's preoccupied with asking questions that aren't usually tackled by regular cinema. But just what exactly is it? There's quite a lot of debate surrounding the term itself, as many people tend to put anything that is set in space or the future into the category of sci-fi. But in reality, that's slightly incorrect. Things like Star Wars or Battlestar Galactica tend to fall closer towards the ideas of a space opera, or even science fantasy. That's not to say these films don't have merit, they just don't really come under the classification of science fiction. Isaac Asimov, a prolific author of the Foundation series and creator of the 3 Laws of Robotics, described the genre by saying, "Modern science fiction is the only form of literature that consistently considers the nature of the changes that face us, the possible consequences, and the possible solutions. That branch of literature which is concerned with the impact of scientific advance upon human beings." And this is why Star Wars doesn't fit into the category. Set it all in 1866 in the Wild Wests of America, and the story will still hold together relatively well. The questions that Star Wars is asking are about governments and war, not about humanity in relation to future technology. Science fiction is all about technology. The typical formula is to take some theoretical piece of science and apply it to something resembling modern-day society. How will people react? What would they do? At the time of creation, often these films are just that, science fiction. But as time goes on, the high concept ideas presented to us become more and more like our own world. And this isn't just some rare case of a film getting lucky and just happening to pick the right thing. There are numerous instances of science fiction accurately predicting the future. 2002's Minority Report showed the usage of touchscreens and personalised advertising. Terminator predicted robotic warfare, as now we're seeing drones used in conflicts more and more frequently. Aldous Huxley's 1931 novel Brave New World even predicted antidepressants, which weren't really the subject of any scientific merit until the early 1950s. As time goes on, a lot of these questions can become important. George Orwell's 1984 was a novel about a totalitarian government that was so pervasive it even monitored its citizens' thoughts. At the time of writing, this idea of extreme surveillance existed, but nothing like it does today. Now we have cameras everywhere and people are constantly uploading themselves to Facebook and sharing images and ideas. There have even been times when people have lost their jobs due to something they posted online. The world imagined in 1984 isn't reality, but it gives us a kind of framework that we can use to imagine possible solutions before these problems are real. The important thing to keep in mind as we move further into the future is to set rules and boundaries at the beginning, before things are too late. With science fiction, questions like this are allowed to be explored and asked before the problems presented in a film are a problem in real life. 2001 asked questions about artificial intelligence. What are some of the problems that might arise from that? It gives something to people that allows us to grab onto it and participate in a discussion. Audiences find value in science fiction because it lets us talk about our problems in a fictional setting. Movies such as District 9 allow consumers to view their real-world or possible real-world problems in a different light.
Fuck off, man. Not the same. Not the fucking same.
It's no secret that much of District 9 is influenced by the history of racism in places like Johannesburg, but by placing that story in a world with aliens, we're able to take that information in without being clouded by previous political agendas, whatever they may be. The point I'm trying to make here is that science fiction is a vitally important genre, and it deserves to be celebrated. This genre is able to use fictional settings to allow people a chance to open their mind. With these kind of films, a whole new light can be shed on something. These futuristic visions of space and other dimensions, or even a slightly altered version of our own world, allow us to free ourselves from the tethers of our lives. It's like seeing a puzzle with fresh eyes and from a different perspective. The lesson I think to take away from all this is not only that we should all be watching more science fiction, but also that there are two sides to every story. Maybe next time you're stuck in a situation, try imagining it from a different point of view. Look at it with someone else's eyes and just see what happens.